Good morning. The topic that we're going to discuss today is the other forms of justice in the Philippines, or we have the indigenous justice system in the Philippines. So instead of discussing it to you via Google Meet a while ago, supposedly, but because of intermittent internet connection, we have agreed to come up with a recorded video instead of lecturing it through Google Meet. So our discussion will be it will focus regarding the indigenous justice system in the Philippines. So by learning the other forms of justice system in the Philippines, we may able to integrate indigenous justice with that of the regular justice system. It can also contribute in the fulfillment of peace and order through the practice of resolving conflicts in an indigenous way. So, aside from the regular justice system that we have, we will also integrate the indigenous justice that we have in the country and in the other provinces, just like the Kalinga, Ifugao, and also the other provinces. So, the indigenous justice system also can help in maintaining the peace and order in our locality, because instead of settling the disputes in the court or yes, undergoing the regular process of justice system, it we may able also to settle the conflict or the dispute through the indigenous justice system. So, going further with the discussion, you may able to understand what are the indigenous justice system that we have in the Ifugao and also in Kalinga. No? So, those are the topics that we'll be discussing soon. No? Um, so that's it with the regarding the indigenous system. Another is to put into practice the right perspective regarding the common misconceptions about cultural practices of the Cordillera. And lastly is to relate the cultural practices of justice of the different tribes in the Philippines. So besides the indigenous justice system, just like the regular justice system, the indigenous justice system was anchored from the different tribes or theories or philosophies in accordance to their culture and traditions. Many tribes in the country are still practicing the unwritten laws, just like also here in Ifugao, some of us are still practicing the unwritten laws, especially if we're settling disputes regarding land disputes that most of us we will settle first at the barangay. Then, if in case the barangay cannot handle it, or I mean the kapitan or the head of the barangay cannot handle it, then they will uh, practice the regular justice. They will put that into court. No, so that is the process that we have. Aside from that, many tribes also in the country are still practicing the unwritten laws, the rules and regulations, or conflicts. Some of the tribes in the Philippines attested that by using or carrying out these unwritten or tribal rules today are more effective in solving disputes or conflicts. Example here is the Bodong system in Kalinga. We also have here the haliw or multa in Ifugao, if you are well versed of it, or if you know regarding the haliw or multa, or if you have maybe you have we have different terms in Ifugao since we have three tribes but the same meaning. But for us in Banawi, we also call that as haliw, no? And also the humangan or the hapitan from the elders of the barangay, just for them to solve the conflicts or disputes, were also found effective. So these are some of the indigenous practices or the ways of resolving disputes that are still being carried today by the people sojourning in the tribes or in the community. So that is with regarding the indigenous system in the Philippines that we have. So for this time, the learning outcomes, by learning the indigenous justice system in the Philippines, we may able to recognize the necessity of being aware about the existence and rights of indigenous. Another is to comprehend the inherent rights of the IPs. So for you to be aware also of your rights as an indigenous people. And another is to integrate indigenous justice with that of the regular justice system. Four is to contribute in the fulfillment of peace and order through the practices of resolving conflicts in an indigenous way. Fifth, that is to put into right perspective the common misconception. And lastly is to relate the cultural practices. So we will start with the theories from where they have patterned the unwritten laws or the indigenous justice system in the Philippines. So actually they have patterned that with the rules also before, unwritten rules before the theories and uh, some of the laws. However, those were unwritten laws before in the olden times. So we have here the theories of retributive justice as one of the pattern. So if I say uh, theories of retributive justice, it is concerned with punishment of wrongdoing. In retributive justice, it answers three questions. First is we have here the why. Why punish? Why are you going to punish? Example, if that certain person, why are you going to punish that person? Who should be punished? Sino ba talaga ang dapat mapunish? And what punishment should they receive? And another is retributive justice theory focus on acts of wrongdoings, and it attempts to balance the wrongdoing with the deserved punishment. The concept of retributive justice is that if somebody had done something wrong, then the retributivists must give a corresponding punishment regardless of what will be the outcome of the punishment. The principle of retributive justice is that all guilty people and only guilty people deserves an appropriate punishment. So here is the principle of the retributive justice, no? All the guilty people and only the guilty people deserves an appropriate punishment. So if you are guilty, they will punish you in an appropriate and the deserved punishment that you should undergoing. So hindi pwede na example, if they say, if you have committed murder, then the appropriate punishment is they will also hang you to be, or they will crucify you if in case. This is just an example, no? So for the punishment of murder is crucifixion. So if in case you have committed murder, then the appropriate punishment is crucifixion. So that is the deserving punishment. So you deserve to be punished or to be crucified because that is the equivalent punishment. So that is with regards to retributive justice. So kung sino ang guilty, siya din ang mapapunish with the deserved and appropriate punishment. Aside from the retributive justice, we also have here the restorative justice. So if we say restorative justice, or also known as reparative justice, in the restorative justice, it focuses on the need of the victim and the offender instead of satisfying the legal principles of punishing the offender. So instead of punishing, they focus on what are their needs. So isn't it we have I mean Lombroso had defined criminals as uh, a sick person. So instead of punishing them, they're going to look after their needs. So ano ba talaga ang kailangan ng offender natin? So if in case the offender needed rehabilitation, then the offender will go for rehabilitation instead of punishment. And if in case the victim needs some assistance, if in case, then they will also provide the assistance that the victim needed. So this is the concept of restorative justice. Uh, the concept of restorative justice is the victim will undergo process, as I have told you a while ago. If in case the victim needs some assistance, then they are going to provide the assistance. But however, that will, yes, it will go some process, while the offender will take responsibility on their actions. So, uh, as I have told you a while ago, so maybe instead of giving punishment, if the offender can repair his or her or the damage that is being done, then he or she will repair. If in case the person had committed theft, and then instead of being punished, then he or she might return the things or the money that he had stolen, and then he or she will undergo some mm, I mean rehabilitation, or maybe apologizing. Yes, apologizing for the actions being done or the action being done, and then if in case that will be the settlement also. And mind you that in the restorative justice, the victim the victim the satisfaction of the victim is an important matter, because if in case the victim is not being satisfied with the example apologizing, then maybe they will talk for maybe they will uh, after returning the stolen money or the things, maybe the offender can pay some more bills to the victims, just for him or her to satisfy the victim, no? So that is with regards to restorative justice. uh, Another here is we also have here the social justice. So if we say social justice, it emphasizes the parameters of equality. The important provisions or the important matter here in social justice is the equality, no? um, the basic view can be elaborated in many ways. Example here is according to what goods are to be distributed, wealth, respect, opportunity, and who or what they are to be distributed equally among individual families, nations, races, especially and species. And in egalitarian theories are typically less concerned with discussing who exactly will do the distributing or what effects their recommended policies will have on the production of goods, services, or resources they wish to distribute. So in short, if I say social justice, it emphasizes the parameters of equality. So that is all regarding the theories related to indigenous justice system in the Philippines. If you have questions or queries, please utilize the comment box below. So that's all, and have a good day.